Okay, so your assignment today was to analyze the setting of The Outsiders. If you follow the directions, the first thing you needed to do was identify the elements of the setting and then analyze how those elements impacted the characters, followed by the conflict. Hopefully, you have answers similar to mine. If you don't, please take some time to update your document and make sure that you have properly analyzed the setting. So, the elements of setting: time, place. It can also include social statuses, weather, historical periods, details about the surrounding. First of all, the time period is the 1960s, and this story takes place in a town in Oklahoma. And the city is split between the rich and the poor. The rich people are the socias, and they live on the west side of town. The poor people are the greasers, and they live on the east side of town. So that's pretty important of the setting. Um, Also, I think it's important to realize that it's common for teenagers to smoke, drink, and carry knives or blades. It's not something that's common today. So I think noting that as a part of the social status and kind of details about the surrounding is important. So when we start to apply those and move on to how it impacted the characters, okay, there's several things. One, I think that it impacts the vocabulary. Specifically, the time period for the 1960s changes the vocabulary. So, weed is actually just a smoke, a regular cigarette. It's not marijuana. Fuzz is what they call the police. A rumble is a fight. So, they use different words than we do today. So, I think that the time period definitely impacts how the characters speak. The social class is also impacted, particularly that split between them. It really causes the characters to be more aggressive. It also causes, because of that aggressiveness and violence, it causes a lot of characters to lose their innocence long before people that age normally would. For example, I noted that for Johnny in particular, that social class split and the resulting violence made him willing to kill. And for such a young kid, like that's amazing. And that is a huge impact that just the split and how the socias pick on the greasers truly has impacted him. Derry is also pretty impacted by that social class split. If you remember, the Curtis boys lost their parents, and like Derry had to grow up way too soon and almost become the parent. So that social class split and him being on the east side of poor greaser really impacted him as a character. So lastly, if you think about, now that we know, okay, so it's had some impact on characters, how does that then in turn impact the conflict? Well, I think it causes a lot of conflict in this story, and I hope you realize that too. So for example, that social class split causes a man versus man conflict between the socias and the greasers. We can see this immediately as the character Ponyboy gets jumped in the very beginning. That is fighting. That is man versus man. We also see that social class split causing a man versus society struggle for the greasers. They are fighting against society and the rules that society says should be followed for appropriate behavior. That's why a lot of them smoke and drink and carry blades, because they're kind of trying to stick it to the man and fight against society. The social class split also causes a man versus self struggle for Ponyboy, because he doesn't really fit in and he doesn't know where he fits in. He's an extremely intelligent kid. He likes movies, he's like reading, he's extremely book smart, but not street smart, yet he's a greaser. And he's kind of supposed to be street smart, so he doesn't know where he fits in. So this entire split of either being a social or a greaser from the east side, the west side, really causes a struggle for him. Lastly, I think that if we take a look at another conflict that's called Derry and Ponyboy have a man versus man struggle. Derry has to become the grown-up too soon. That's the impact on his character. And that in turn causes him to struggle with Ponyboy, because now instead of just being the older brother, he's the parent, and that causes problems. So as we keep reading, I hope you start to see how the elements of the setting in The Outsiders has impacted the characters and the conflict, and really helps the story unfold and make it what it is. The setting in the story is so important. Without it, we wouldn't really have the story. All right. If you have any questions, remember you can just email me or post them on Google Classroom. I'm excited that we're reading this. I hope you enjoy the story